right. So we're here. So Kari and I have been working on something super exciting. So one of the things that has come up for me is that I get calls and not calls, DMs from people all the time saying, wanting to know how to start gluten detection training. And then unfortunately, I get lots of comments, DMs from people who have had bad experiences in trying to train a gluten detection dog. And I know Kari has heard similar things. And then in my personal gluten detection training experience, I have had lots of issues in terms of I made a ton of mistakes. I ended up okay, but literally along the path, I could have had a major issue of
Could have
falling
gone
out.
sideways.
It could have gone sideways many, many times. And that's how Kari and I actually met, because I was posting these cute little videos of my dog on Instagram. And I was doing something that literally was making me very, very ill. Very, very ill. And she wrote to me and said, "You're killing
Please
yourself.
don't do
You're going to kill
that.
yourself." Huh?
I said, please don't do that anymore.
Yeah. So that's how Kari and I met. She wrote out to a stranger and basically said, "Don't kill yourself anymore."
My first DM ever.
Oh, really? You never sent a DM before then?
No.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it
That's
was
hilarious.
2020, and I was just getting an Instagram. It was right after the pandemic, I think, or maybe it was during, but yeah, it was my very first DM. You were my very first.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So Kari and I since then have become friends. We were online friends, and then we've met up in person, and now we're really good friends. And the cool thing is now we're partners in this new venture that we're working on, and we're getting ready to launch next week. So you guys are kind of hearing about like the preview. First off, that we have created some resources for you, some courses to help you get started in figuring out what gluten detection is all about. So how it works, what it takes, because to go and put down that amount of money to train a dog and make a commitment to a dog is incredible. That's a lot. And it's a lot of money, and it's a major commitment because it's a commitment for the lifetime of the animal. You definitely, it's not something you want to do with a little bit of information. I mean, when you go buy a car, a house, anything, you do your research, and there's not really credible, great resources for doing it. So, and especially in a cost-effective manner, Kari and I have been working really hard to create them. Kari, do you have any questions so far? I don't want to just keep drowning around. I literally can't see any comments.
I can't see anything anymore too either. So I just logged in from my other account and I can't see anything there. So if somebody, tell us where you're from. Just put something in the comments, somebody, please.
If you can see, yeah.
I don't know. It said
we need, I don't know. Maybe this live isn't working well. But so that's what we have going on. And
hi from Canada.
Oh,
yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. Oh, hey, Donna. Okay,
Virginia
good.
Now you can see them.
Okay, great. Yes, now I can see. Well, I can't see them on
Nebraska,
this one, but I can see them.
I'm up in Minnesota.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm in San Diego, and Kari is in Minnesota. And so yeah, we'll be launching everything next week. So everything will go live. Unfortunately, this takes a ton of time and effort, especially when you're not like web designers and creative. So personally, in my real job, I create courses for companies. And so creating courses is great. And I love to do it to make it learning and interesting. The only challenge is in my real job, I have designers that do all the design work. So it's a lot more challenging when you don't have those skills. So it's really exciting. We're going to cover lots of basically anything you need to know to figure out, hey, is it right for you, and how to start well. And then we have a bunch more things in the pipeline that are even more exciting.
Yeah, the courses
But
are done. They're loaded. We just have a couple more things to button up, and then we'll be launching next week. Oh
next
my
week,
gosh, it's
hopefully.
taken like 6 months.
Yeah, we've
Taking
been working
forever.
on this. We've literally been working on this for 6 months at least. And we've been hardcore working on it for a while. I mean, we even went,
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Carrie and I went on the celiac cruise, and we were on the celiac cruise doing stuff for these
Yeah.
courses. So we were filming videos and things like that on the celiac cruise. So you'll see those on Instagram going forward. But we do want to share that and talk to you about that. We also want to take your questions today. If you have questions about training a gluten detection dog, questions about living with celiac disease, shoot questions about the celiac cruise. We're happy to do that. I did get a few questions from some people ahead of time, if people are adding it to the chat. So one person asked, will it cover the cost of training a gluten detection dog? Everything that's included? Absolutely, yes, it will cover that.
And
Will
more.
it talk about, yeah, I'm just answering the questions. Will it talk
Right.
about the size of the dog, the type of the dog? Um, yes, it will talk about that. The other part about that is we go into how do you determine what the right size of dog is? How do you determine what the right breed of dog is? What kind of your needs are? How that does that. Um, so let's see.
A couple questions.
Yeah, so Mama Michelle said, will there be a way to ask questions about training if I was trying to train my pup? So, yes and no. The courses are for you to get started correctly, and we are going to have a monthly get together where people can ask questions. The no part is gluten detection is something that we recommend working with a trainer. And as somebody who's not a trainer, I'll tell you why. Because you are 50% of the equation. And if I did not have a trainer watching me, and even having a trainer watching me, I made lots of mistakes. You cannot see, it's not like just teaching a dog behavior. It's not
Mm-mm.
teaching the dog to sit down, stay. That's the dog, and you can see what the dog is doing. You can't see what you're doing. And the dog feeds off you and reads off you. So you really, truly have to work with a professional. And even, I mean, Carrie, training a gluten detection dog, did you do it yourself?
Nope.
And
I have.
and I will tell you, the top gluten detection trainer in the country is the person that we work with, and she is also involved in helping us with these courses and developing new courses. Dawn Choi, she's the originator of gluten detection dogs. She trains with a trainer. So that part we don't, but it's still owner training. So you do the training, but you have a trainer working on that. So
But
that part,
we are going to answer questions about gluten and imprinting and scent discrimination and dedication to odor and all that. Like, but it's not a training course. Like
yes.
it's not going to teach you how to train a gluten detection dog. It's going to teach you everything you need to know before you make a decision. And if you already have made a decision, just where to go from there. And then we'll have other courses too. We have 4 courses right now, so there's going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
Oh, Jill's on here. Jill,
Oh,
Mike.
hey, Jill. Oh, have fun on the next celiac cruise. We met Jill and Mike on the celiac cruise. So Michaela asked, is there an application process? The courses you'll just sign up and buy. As far as applying to work with a trainer, you can go on the website and just sign up, and it's a matter of if they have openings in terms of timing, but working on that. As far as if that's not your question, then ask it again. Um,
Is this course just for gluten allergy or can it be applied for any food allergy?
Any food allergy.
Any, yes, any food allergy. We specifically talk about gluten because that's who we've trained, but um, yeah, we talk about odor detection in a grand scheme and how dogs smell and how their, olfactory receptors work and all that. So it's very comprehensive.
Yeah. So, Mama Michelle, this is an at-home training program. You just work with a trainer over Zoom. And every dog trainer is different, and working with a specialist in gluten detection is really important. Now, for um, public access and stuff like that, you can work with a local behavior trainer. That's
Mhm.
totally fine. But for gluten, it's very different because you also have to take into consideration how the scent moves, how you handle the odor, how you behave with the odor, how you progress in the training. All those things are a big part of it. So it's not something, just like you wouldn't go to a podiatrist for heart surgery, you're not going, or you're not going to have your primary care physician do heart surgery. It's a similar thing. It's a different
Specialty,
specialty.
yeah.
It's a different
So
level of
many
training.
components.
So many components. So that's definitely what it is. And it does take 2 years to train. So it's a long-term training thing, um, but you work from home and you do that. Um, yeah, it works just like if you work with a trainer. It's just a different kind of trainer. But the way it works is you train over Zoom, and it's, 1 or 2 times a week,
You
and
get
then you train
lessons.
on your own for the
Yep.
rest of the time.
Send
Yeah.
in videos in between. Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. Like it's a lot of time and energy, and I mean it's really fun too. At least I try and make it fun.
Yeah.
Don makes it fun, that's for
Don
sure.
makes it fun too. I know Donna's on here with Zoe, and she has an she so Zoe is an allergen detection dog, so she could chime in on how
Oh,
training
it
is, and
works.
how intense it is, and how it works. So that's definitely.
Yeah, it's not just the odor part. It's manners, it's impulse control, it's cooperative care, it's public access, which is, half of it, but probably, well, at least half, maybe a tiny bit more, depending on the dog. Some dogs need more work in public access, more focus on that. Some dogs do great in public access and don't need that much focus on it, just the regular stuff. Like not going up to everybody and, you know, peeing everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of things you work on in public, like laying under the table and whatever. But the gluten part um, is obviously a big part of it too. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the one thing, so we're going to go through, like what a service dog is, what it takes, the differences between service dogs and ESAs and therapy dogs, and the legal side of it too. We get so many questions about the legal things in the United States. So we
yeah,
don't cover like what it is in Canada. I know people are watching from other places, but at least it
yeah,
gets you on the right track. You can look that up. Who knows,
yeah,
if we get enough people from other places, we'll do the research and do it. But we're speaking from what we know right now. And then all the pieces that go into it. Each course is going to have a course handout with links to additional resources. So anything that we talk about, or anything that we want that you might want to look at. So as we talk through breeds, there's links to the reputable breed sites where you can read more about the breed standards. We talk about genetic testing in dogs. We cover it in this, and it's in the
mhm,
handout. So whatever you have, you can then use to do your research, because the thing is, we don't want people to end up with a bad situation. I just talked to somebody when did I talk to her? Last week. Uh, and who, it's just a terrible story. And I mean, it's going to be a good story, but it's a terrible story. I'm going to edit that up. It's a long, going to be it's a long interview. So I'll be sharing snippets of it here. I'll probably share the whole thing on my website and on YouTube because I think it's important that people kind of understand what can happen. And I know, Kari, you've also trained people that have have gone with the wrong trainer and then had to kind of
Yep.
regroup. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit, what that looks like.
Well, some dogs come into the program that already have a foundation of gluten detection and it's not working, or they weren't in the right program, or the program, was too frustrating or whatever. And so there's dogs that have already imprinted to the odor and, at least know what gluten is and maybe started the first processes. But, then they switch trainers and go on a different path. And in the experience that I've had with the dogs that have switched trainers, it's been, better, much better. And, just there's so many programs out there, Dawn's, mine. There's other ones too, obviously. And everybody's a little bit different. So, I mean, you have to fit with your trainer. There's a question on, do you work with people on how to select a dog to train? And yes, absolutely. Probably the biggest part of my job in the beginning. Part of the program is, um, helping you pick a breed, helping you find a breeder, doing the temperament testing. It's a long process. Like if you decide you're going to do it and you go with a breeder, I mean, you could be 4 months out, really. I mean, if there isn't even a pregnancy yet, depends on what dog you want. I waited about 4 months, I think, 3 months. When I got Birdie, I knew that I wanted a chocolate female. So I waited for that litter to be born. And luckily there was 3 chocolate females and I temperament tested all 3 and Birdie tested the highest. So she's the one I picked. But I had to wait for her to be born and then wait for her to turn 8 weeks. So it's definitely a waiting game. But anyways, yes, I will definitely work to help you select a dog. And that's actually part of one of the courses. There's a big section on temperament testing, what to look for in a trainer, what to look for in a breeder, red flags, do's and don'ts, all that. So
Yeah, characteristics of the dogs as well.
yeah.
So Ray said, are you confused? Is this like a pre-training then? So it is the foundations of starting. So it's not here's how you train. It's here's what you need to train effectively. And
And
we do get into, so it's, here's what it is. That's just the intro that I talked about, like the ADA and all that stuff. But then we have here's how to find the dog. Here's how to think about the tasks that you need within, because many people when they're training a service dog are looking for multiple tasks. So you might have gluten detection or allergen detection and like a deep pressure therapy, or maybe you have mobility support. So those are different considerations that you add into it. Then we get into, like Kari was talking about, the temperament testing and early scent introduction and neurological stimulation. So all those pieces and what that looks like, how you find a breeder, how you work with a breeder, how you find the right dog. So you need to have all those things to have success in the long term. So those are all things that I did not do, and I got lucky, frankly, like incredibly lucky, and that I got Suki, who is great and has all those things, but it could have ended really badly. And that's one of the things we want to really set it. Suki's bringing me a
Suki's
toy to
squeaking.
play. She's like, I want to play. Sorry about that if I've got all the dogs. And then we get into, so we have kind of the beginnings of gluten detection. So we talk about the foundations behind it, what that looks like, the science of scent, how dogs can smell. We really get into that in depth, and that early imprinting. It's just a lot to know. So this is to really get you started and then get ready and then work with a trainer one-on-one to start
Yep.
it. But this
Puppies
gives
can,
you everything up until
yeah, you
you're working with your
get
trainer
your
pretty
dog.
good.
Puppies can start imprinting to gluten at 3 days old. That's how young they are. Oh my gosh.
She's pulling on me.
So,
So you
like,
see me moving, that's just Suki.
yes. So we
Oh,
go over what it looks like to have the most success. And these courses are based on all the questions that we get and both of our experiences going into this.
yeah.
My first dog, my first puppy that I had, she washed out of the program. So, you know, Birdie's my second dog. I knew what to do then. Kendra was, like she said, got lucky with Suki, because Portuguese water dogs we don't recommend, actually. We talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really comprehensive look at how to be the most successful and end up with a finished service dog.
Yeah.
So the training part is like the actual presenting the odors and adding in more odors and blind trials, like how to do that. We don't, it's not the training part. You have to work with a trainer for that.
Yeah. Because it's your health, you
Yeah.
don't want to do it halfway because that would be irresponsible to just go, hey, you can throw it out there
Yeah.
and it's not. I mean, I saw a video on TikTok last week that I actually sent to Don and Carrie, and Don literally he gave me a heart attack by that because it was so bad, and it was somebody teaching how to do it, and was completely irresponsible. Like, and it wasn't teaching the dog; it was teaching the dog to do a behavior based on some things put in front of them that were not pure gluten. So that was a big thing. So Mama Michelle said, do you have to use a breeder? Not necessarily, but there's a lot of reasons too, and we go through that. And that because we want to set you up for the best success in the long term,
Yep.
and that includes the longevity of the dog, the health of the dog, the genetics. So I mean, I just had lunch today. It's a little. I'm gonna drop for people that know dog training with.
Name drop.
Yeah, Emily Larum from Kiko Pup, who, if you have dogs and want to train, like, she's amazing, amazing, amazing. So Suki and I got to meet her and Bliss, and we were just talking about the differences. Like, she has a number of dogs, and the differences in the genetics between the dogs, and that, she was like, Bliss is laying here. I mean, she's an amazing trainer. So, but she goes, his genetics are just really good. So he was just calmer and more, where the other ones would be more, but that's what it is. And, we want to set you up for success in the long term. So that's why we do it. And we go into detail on it. You don't have to, but
Right.
it's gonna, I mean, Carrie and I both love rescue dogs and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and it's just, but you don't know what you're gonna get. I mean, my last dog I had a Bichon. He was a rescue. He was scheduled to be put down because he wasn't fit to be around people. Awesome dog. I traveled with him. He was little, so I traveled with him as a carrier underneath the seat. He went to work with me. I worked in a pet specific office, so it was fine. But he was unpredictable. His temperament was unpredictable. He was
Mm-hmm.
great for me,
Yeah.
but if I took him to a vet, he had a big, use caution on there because he would take their hand off because he was that
Yeah.
unpredictable. You don't know what you're going
Mm-hmm.
to get when you have
Yeah. The
a
same with
rescue dog.
Turtle. My other dog that I started with, she was a rescue. Super smart. She loved the odor part, but she has a congenital liver defect. And my vet said she's not going to have potentially that long of a life. And so, I mean, she's still around. She's thriving. She's great. But I decided, I mean, and I still train with her too. Like, she definitely knows her odor and loves working. But it just, when you put that much time and effort into training a service dog, you want them to work for more than 6 to 12 or 18 months. So She was a great service dog prospect though, but unfortunately because she was a rescue, my chances of, just like with any dog, but with the rescue, you just don't uh, know what you're going to get. And she's
Yeah.
lovely. She's
Yeah.
super smart and funny and wonderful, but
Yeah. Yeah.
she's not healthy. So
Well, and when you have a dog as a service dog, what they do is a lot more than a pet dog. I mean, they're
it's a
going
mental
with you
divide.
places,
Yeah.
they're working harder, and that puts more demands on them,
Yep.
mentally, physically,
Yep.
and that's
Yeah. I
why
just want her
you,
to be a dog.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they can do that. Any other questions? We can talk through some more of what we have going on. I know other questions that I've gotten, in terms of what kind of things.
Oh, great
Gina
question.
said, how can you explain the process and how long it takes to train a dog? Carrie, do you want to take that
Oh,
one?
yeah. Well, typically it takes about 2 years to train a fully trained service dog, a task trained service dog. We definitely want the dog to be past the major developmental stages, the milestones, because there's several total, and you want a dog to be emotionally ready and physically ready for the demands of being a service dog. And don't get me wrong, service dogs are family dogs and they, lay around all day. At least Birdie does. She only works probably 5% of the time.
Suki does too, probably less
Yeah,
than
but
that.
it does take about, I tell people 2 years. Dawn tells people 18 months to 2 years. I just like to set those expectations early, and if it happens earlier, that's great. But yeah, we want the dog to be fully mature and have gone through at least the major developmental milestones. So adolescence is a big one. So when you see these ads or these posts for 6-month-old fully trained task trained service dogs, it's not that, there's just no way. So the process, a puppy starts as a service dog prospect, and you start training, and you introduce odor, and start imprinting and all that, and then usually I would say before a year old, probably before a year old for most dogs, then they become a service dog in training. And hopefully before a year old, because that's when you go out and you start, public access with their little training vest on, or their little bandana, or their leash sleeve. Um, and, you start working in public places. And you do that, before too, when they're younger, to start the socialization process, but you have to do it very carefully and expose positively. But when they're a service dog in training, that's like the bulk of the training. And then there's tests to pass. There's a public access test, um, an odor test, and an at-home test.
Yeah.
And it's done all by videos. You just send me videos and I check off the boxes, and then you graduate right around 2 years old.
And the way the process works too when you're training with a trainer is you train online. So I would, you have a Zoom call link that you have all your stuff ready and you do the training with the dog under the supervision of the trainer. So the trainer says, okay, let's see how you're doing this week. And you've got lessons for what you're working on. And then during the week, you're practicing. So I would sit and, work with a trainer like Carrie for an hour, and we would go through, here's the milestones that we're working on, here's the things that we're challenging, and they're going to observe what how I'm doing, as well as the dog, because there's things that they're going to see that I have no idea. And you especially don't know, you can't see what you're doing. And we have examples of that and stuff in the courses as we go along. But then during the week, you're practicing every single day on your own for multiple different things. So not only the gluten detection, but you're doing behavioral stuff. So you're working on basic commands. You're working on socialization. And socialization doesn't mean just around people. That's getting the dog used to different environments, different surfaces. I put up a video yesterday of Suki in a grocery store, and it was super hot that day. So she had her booties on. I don't practice with her booties for gluten very often. I don't do store visits in her booties. It's a different surface. So she didn't sit. She raised her paw still, so that was fine. But she didn't do her normal. Normally she would sit because that floor was slippery with those booties. It was a different, so all those kind of things, like that's something that I really do need to practice because I want her to be
Well,
comfortable doing that as well. But I
I'll prove.
haven't taken her to a store in her booties in a really long time. I do other stuff with her in her booties, so she's comfortable walking in them. But those are just examples of this session. So yeah, if you give us some likes too, I see. Thank you for some likes, but likes to share the live and the
Oh yeah,
people know too. I always forget to ask about that. I appreciate that. And if you're not already following us, please
yeah.
follow both of us. Follow Celiac Service Dogs and follow Suki PWD. So I post way more than Carrie, but we'll
Like I
just
don't
call
post
that.
at all.
We'll just call that right out.
I don't know why I'm so dark, you guys. I'm so sorry. Every light is on in my office, and this is my brand new iPad, so I don't know what's happening. But I'm sorry it's so dark.
You
Do
need
you
it.
recommend one person to train the dog? Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. Yes. There's that kind of the if you have kids or a family and multiple kids with celiac, it's a tiny bit different. You're still going to have one handler, but the dog learns the cues, not the cues, but the dog and the handler develop a relationship, and the dog gets used to the way that one person presents the control jar, presents the meal or the package. And because it's really just this, it's like this dance, like it's just a relationship, and every dog will potentially do it differently with other people in the family. And I think it's just too confusing. So with kids, I recommend an adult do it. I wouldn't recommend a kid do it. It's just way too much work. It's like a full-time job, in a good way. So yeah, I would recommend one person, do the training, and if there's another person that, an older child, maybe I've heard of cases where there's, an older teenager that will present packages, not do the training part, but we'll just present them. You just have to trust your dog. Again, like you want to be able to know that it's gluten-free. So it's very interesting, the relationship that builds out of it, and it's very much like a dance. Like Birdie and I are dancing when we do, not literally, but when we are working. And Suki with you, I mean, you guys have seen Suki in videos. Like you can tell like there's a certain connection.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, if somebody puts something out to Suki, she will check it for them,
Yeah.
but you don't know if what they did, like how they move, because dogs read body language way more. I mean, Suki, half the time, I don't even use words with her because she doesn't like respond to words as much of commands if I'm doing stuff, but if I do a hand signal, she follows that immediately. Like that's a big thing. So you just don't know how much body language you do, and we do weird stuff all the time. We're moving our
That's
head. I was actually talking to another trainer earlier today, not Emily, a different one, and she's taking a class, and she goes, yeah, we were teaching something about like the dog to dip the head, and sure enough, she was taking a class, so she was videoing herself, so she goes, and so I was dipping my head. We just do it
Yep.
unconsciously,
Yep.
so often. So I know Tina has a question here. My dog's a 6-year-old mini golden doodle. Do you think he's too old? It kind of gets to the point where it takes 2 years to train, even an older dog, because that gluten does take that long to go through, and it might be a little bit faster, but it takes a long time because it uses so much of their brain power. It's a complex skill. It's not just finding gluten. It's finding gluten in all these other things, and it's packages, it's many tasks together, not just one task. At 6 years old, they start, that just ends up being physically hard for them. By the time then you figure 8, and you think, if you're taking them places and going, most dogs as they get older, they just kind of want to be home and relaxing a little bit more. So I think that could be a
I
challenging.
think
I don't
6
know,
is a
Carrie.
tiny bit old, even though I'm sure that your golden doodle would absolutely love the training and already has been through training. But the odor is a little more complex. Not saying that he couldn't do it, but it's something that you have to think about long and hard. Do you want to, once he's finished at 8 years old, maybe he'll only work for another 2 years, and you've spent 2 years of his life with a dog that's only going to work for another 2 years. So it's just something you have to think about. I tell people when they contact me, my cutoff is kind of 2 years old. So they'll say, I have a 2-year-old standard poodle or whatever, like whatever dog they have. I had a woman email me about a collie the other day, a little bit younger, but if the dog's older than 2, yeah, I mean, we could try up to like 3 maybe, but I don't know. I think probably your golden doodle would love it, but I don't know, in the long run, not having a dog to work that long would be hard, I
It's
think.
a lot. It's a major investment. So you have to look at
Yeah.
that too. It's your choice. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean, yeah, the dog can't do it.
Yeah. Oh,
You
I'm
know,
sure he could
yeah,
actually.
yeah. It's just, do you want to invest that much time and
Thousands of
effort
dollars. Yeah.
for a dog that's not going to work that much longer? And I mean, may work very long, but as they get older, then their scent declines, and then their interest in working too, because it is hard. It's,
To keep their drive up for
keep their
sure.
drive up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Any other questions? This is kind of fun.
I
Karen
know.
and
I
I,
know what
Karen and I
question.
talk all the time, but we don't necessarily have questions pop up.
So
So
I also wanted to mention too, someone a long time ago asked about cost, and just kind of to piggyback on this question about um, how old is the dog, but with training and the investment, when you work online with a gluten detection trainer, the cost is monthly instead of like having to come up with however X amount of thousands of dollars to get the dog fully trained, which I don't recommend. I think that the training is I know that the training is much more effective when you start, when you're doing the training and that relationship is built and that dance is happening on a daily basis from 8 weeks to whenever the dog finishes. But it's monthly. So it cuts it down into much smaller chunks. But, if it's over the life of the dog or the life of the training, it's still going to be, average, I would say $12,000, $13,000, but it's monthly, of course. But yeah, it's a big investment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, good question. It's always it's a hard thing to know. And that's why we did the courses too, that you could think about those things ahead of time and think about what the commitment is. And I know I talked to a lot of people that do have, I mean, I talked to somebody recently that has a, 13-year-old dog, and they're like, I don't know how much longer, but that person could start thinking and planning for the future. I mean, I got Suki when my dog was 15 at the time, I think, when I got Suki. So I knew he wasn't going to be around that much longer, and not don't want to be morbid about it, but it was a good. I'm really
Mhm.
glad. My one friend said, "Hey, you're going to be really depressed when he passes away," and I was like, you're right. and it was COVID and everything was shut down and I wasn't traveling, which normally I travel a lot for work. And um, I just was like, okay, let me think about doing this. And I got lucky and finding a breeder that had dogs ready and was able to get Suki. So I kind of decided in mid-March when I was like, yeah, I think we're going to be home for a while, when we all kind of realized that this wasn't going to be a couple weeks to be done. And then I was able to get Suki the end of May. So that was like crazy fast, and most times that you don't,
Yeah.
um, but that's the process. And I was very thankful that Suki and my other dog got to be together for over a year before he passed away. That took, years off my life as well, because I had to worry about this big puppy with tons of energy smushing my 9.5 pound frail
That's
senior
not funny.
dog.
I am picturing Suki figuring out how to get through the slats in the
Oh
thing
yeah, yeah.
to
No,
get.
that was it.
That's
He
why I'm
would
laughing.
he'd stay upstairs, and I'd keep Suki downstairs, and I had baby gates, but she just could not. She had to go to see him. She was, and then she would, and I'll show you. So I have this staircase with kind of wide openings, and so she figured out that she could go through the openings to go up the stairs. So I had to buy netting that closed it off. I mean, you
Prevent-
name it. I have video. I've
yeah.
posted the video a few times, but she just was intent to go after him. And half the time I'd have her, like, I walked around with her on a leash around my waist basically for, I don't know, probably the first 6 months of her life, because that's one of the reasons why Portuguese water dogs probably not the best choice for service dogs, because they're very smart and they're very driven, and they can be very
And phone.
mischievous.
Yeah.
Not conniving, but there were many times when, just especially cooking dinner, when they'd both be down. Oh my gosh, it was I was afraid that she would kill him. Not because but she just wanted to play, and a nine
Yeah.
and a half pound 16-year-old dog is not somebody that a very
Yeah.
energetic
Yeah.
45-pound puppy needs to be playing with. So Mama Michelle wanted to know, is it considered medical expenses on taxes? Yes, and yes and no. So it goes, you can usually use some of your like FSA funds. I mean, it obviously depends on your area. I just had this question, and a CPA wrote, and so you can deduct some of it, but it has to be, I think it was like 10% of your income, or more than 10% of your income. So that's where it gets kind of
Wasn't
tricky.
that for eating gluten-free food? Wasn't that for having celiac disease and writing off gluten-free food? That question? Or was it about, so
No, I think it was service dogs. Um, the challenge most times, I'll just say from my personal experience, when I talk to my accountant about it, he's like, your general deduction for medical is going to be more than what that is. So I think it depends. You have to talk to your CPA. Neither one of us are CPAs,
yeah, the cost
so
of training is not, but there are some
expenses.
expenses. Um, I'm trying, see, I am a dog trainer, so I can write off some things. So I'm trying to figure out what the dividing line is for like company or service dog write-offs. But I know that in Minnesota, there are some write-offs anyway. And just so you know, as an aside, um, you can get a discount for service dogs on insurance, on most insurance. So if you want puppy or dog insurance, which Kendra and I both recommend,
Yes.
will get a service dog discount. The one that I have, I think, is 15% discount. on the total premium. So that's a plus.
The one I have does not offer discounts. And I
Oh
asked him and he
no.
told me that, but that's okay. I've been happy with them,
And
so I'm gonna,
some veterinarians will offer a little bit of a discount too. It
yeah.
doesn't hurt that either.
Um, so Ray said I have two sweet old lady dogs. Is it better for training to wait till they pass then? Not necessarily. I mean, you can,
Depends on the dogs.
depends on the dogs, yeah. So, and depends on the space you have as well and the time that you can devote to it, you
Yeah.
know.
They might
Um,
not appreciate it.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
depends on them, and it depends on the kind of dog you get. I wouldn't rule it out, but if you want to start planning, um, and just kind of start thinking about it, find a trainer, find a breeder, figure out the breed that you want, in the next whatever year or two, you can
yeah,
have it in the pipeline.
yeah,
Some people wait. I have had a couple clients that have waited. Um, I have one right now. I'm doing a temperament test on Sunday, and oh gosh, she's waited a long time for the perfect puppy, or the um, perfect, perfect puppy, but like the breeder and the perfect scenario. And so the puppies are born. So we test at 7 weeks, and we're going to be 7 weeks. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, it takes the time away from the other dogs. That's the other hard part because you are spending so much time. In my case with Milo, he was so old that he really slept, you know, he was up for maybe 2 hours a day,
yeah,
if
it's
that.
different then. Yeah,
And so it was kind of like he just kind of was in the bedroom and that was what he did. And, he'd go out
yeah.
and go pee and then go back. But it was literally, so he was very separate. But he really enjoyed Suki's training because he couldn't hear very well, but he sure heard that little clicker. So every time I clicked that clicker, he'd come running his tail. He's in
You
one of
get
the
some
courses
treats.
too, so you can see, yeah, he just thought it was the greatest thing in the world that he got treats for not doing anything. And he was never clicker trained, but he got clicker trained really, really quickly with Suki. So it was really cute. It was fun. It's kind of fun to have those memories and
Hmm.
yeah. My
Hmm.
poor little guy, he couldn't see and couldn't hear, but he knew he could hear that clicker really well and was like, this is the greatest thing in the world.
When Birdie
Yeah.
was a puppy and Turtle was like, I don't know, she was two. Um, she loves Turtle loves puppies, so it's not a big deal. But she, just having another dog around, like it was hard. You can train with another dog around, but because Turtle is already working on odor, and she's like, "Hey, man, that's my training session." But anyway, Birdie would like, um, terrorize her, not literally, but she would like play with her and chomp on her neck and everything. And Turtle would get so sick of it, and she would kind of play a little bit too rough, not like to hurt her or anything, but she would, she was the older one. She'd give her the what for, but Birdie loved it. She just kept saying, "Do it again, do it again." So I had to
Well,
separate
and
the whole
it's
time.
different in that age, but like
Yep.
from, different age. And then you also have to keep in consideration size of dog,
Oh
because like
yeah.
for me, having this little 9.5 pound Bichon and having this crazy, uh, I mean, 40, she was pretty quickly, 30
Yep. For
pounds.
dog. Yeah.
And I mean now she's just under 50, so she's a big girl. And it was a huge she when I first brought her home, she was the same size as he was. So tell you it didn't last that long that they were the
Right.
same size.
Oh,
Um
Milo.
yeah, my little Milo, he's a very cute little boy, but no, it's super interesting. Well, we are almost at the end of our time, so I don't think we have any more questions.
No.
Keep looking. We're going to do some giveaways next week. We're going to have a bunch of stuff going on, so definitely keep it out. If there's people that we want to get the word out so people know about this. So we'll be sharing it once it's live. You guys are just kind of getting a little bit of a sneak peek for
Oh,
everything. And I will be reposting this. Most likely I will I'll post the whole thing, but then I'll probably post it, since now we're going pretty long. We'll post to that. So my Instagram is SukiPWD, and Kari is celiac service dogs. So
Yeah,
definitely follow both of us if you're doing it, and we will be posting on both.
Yeah.
And yeah, we appreciate it. It's
Thank
exciting, and
you, everybody.
thanks for joining us today. And we are really excited about this, and we hope you are too. And if you have other questions, just send me a DM, and I'm
Oh
happy to
yeah,
answer.
me too.
And we will be doing regular, as part of this, we're going to have some, where you can sign up to do like a monthly Q&A with the trainer that we'll do offline in a more of a Zoom format than this, because this is a little bit less engaging, but where you can actually like face on, talk, and then also meet some other people that are doing the same thing. So I
Yep.
think it should be really, really
Oh
fun.
yeah, it'll be really fun. This is going to be quite the, I think, journey, or not journey, but like experience for everybody to see these courses. And I can't wait to get everybody's feedback. And it's taken so long.
It's
Like this, I feel like I'm birthing a baby.
it
Like
really
this.
is. I feel like I've spent so much time on them, and
You really have, yeah.
oh, it'll be
Kendra's done all the behind the scenes on the website, a lot of it, and putting together the packages. And Wix is just, Wix is Wix.
Wix is Wix. So yeah, a web designer I am not,
Yeah.
but it's like I was trying to do something yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. And then I figured it out, and I was like, yeah, I figured it out. And then 5 minutes later, I needed to redo it, and I was like, I have no idea how I did that.
I have no idea how
So
they did
probably
that.
tomorrow I'll have to do it again, and
Yeah.
I still won't know. I needed to like record myself doing it, but such is life. Hopefully in the future we can, have
Yeah,
more help
it'll be
doing
good.
that, and the rest of the courses will go, because we have a whole list of
Yep, we got
courses
three more in the pipeline.
three more
Better
in the
be.
pipeline that we got to start working on, but we want to launch these first for you. And
Yeah, so we have a beyond basics behavior, traveling with your service dog, everyday life with your service dog. Dawn's going to be doing one on scent handling, which is really important. You got to handle your scent correctly when it's, when allergen,
yeah,
or when you have celiac. Yeah, so, and the first ones that we're putting out there, like finding a breeder, finding a trainer, and then the science behind gluten. So anyway,
that's really,
you'll
really
see those
exciting.
when we launch them next week.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thanks, Kari. And we will be looking forward to sharing our little baby with you.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
thanks
All right.
everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.